This is the Experience Share Podcast,
where I, Mark, the Joe,
and I, Rowan, the Pro,
share our differing experiences in the Pokémon trading card game and competitive circuit.
Whether you're playing for fun or you're trying to reach the top, we hope our Experience Share can help you level up.
If you weren't listening, we'd be talking about it anyway.
So if you are listening, then be sure to use what you learn to beat those who aren't.
If you put yellow sleeves on your deck, then your deck is yellow.
Yeah.
But here's a twist. If you put red sleeves on your deck, then your deck is red.
Isn't that concerning?
I think we need a sleeve sponsor.
We do need a sleeve sponsor. Ultra Pro, please sponsor us. I love your sleeves.
All right. Goiania Regionals?
Yeah, Goiania Regionals happened last weekend, taken down by Control. Pretty crazy Control deck. I don't know if you've seen the list, but it's like the Radzard, Chi-Yu, Pidgeot build. And I thought that was super cool. Obviously, a very hard deck to play. So the champion must have had a ton of practice with that. I almost wanted to pick up the deck and try it out, but I didn't think it was worth my time, considering that we're about to see the rotation happen and looking towards EUIC. So still on that Guardy Mew train, but definitely a cool deck to see win, that's for sure.
I think it was really interesting because Latin America is known for such aggressive decks. They came up with the Charizard EX deck. Yeah. They were the first ones to really push that out forward. So to see a deck like Snorlax win that event is really good. And I have seen like the Chi-Yu Radzard. I know that different people have piloted that deck. But even that final, like, okay, if I told you this was a top 4 of a regional, tell me if you think I would be as your generation says capping. But Snorlax, Palkia, Chen Pao, and the only one in day 2, Cloth.
Not the Cloth, bro. Oh,
they do love their Cloth. What? They do love the Cloth.
They do love the Cloth. Okay, but there was only one Cloth in day 2, so yes. How much can they really love Cloth?
I mean, they love it if, they're the only one that's put in all these formats.
I love cheering for Cloth. And in Latin America, they have amazing energy. I bet the crowd was going crazy for Cloth.
Vamos, Cloth. Vamos, Cloth.
I hope they put it on stream. I actually didn't get a chance to watch, but do you know if the Cloth played against the Control?
I would assume Cloth would have been in stream. I don't know if it played against Control.
Yeah.
But I think just looking at their top 8, it was very varied. Like, the one thing that I know right away from seeing is Roaring Moon having 2 spots in their top 8. That seems very par on the course, but the rest of the top 8 was Guardy, Entei Valiant with the Bibarel.
Yep, I think that's good.
Roaring Moon and Roaring Moon. So kind of rounds out to what the format looks like. The only thing really surprising is no Charizard.
Yeah.
And it was the number 1 most played deck, and they love Charizard.
They do love Charizard. I think it was like 18% of their day 1 metagame, and yeah, to not see one in top 8 is fairly surprising.
I think that their meta is generally different from ours. Same, like I think Europe was more similar. I think they're more willing to put stuff into the decks that they're playing. But even I know that you disagreed last time, but might have been someone's last chance to play Ice Rider, Calyrex VMAX.
Maybe, and there's one there. You did call it a Calyrex VMAX in the top 8 of Vancouver, but I mean this similar event, right?
I think that's twice now. We had one in Europe.
Yep.
Luke Kirkham really put the deck on the map, so that's the second one that's put on there. I don't think that's going to really translate over. I know there are, some Palkia enjoyers in our area. I, for one, also tried it. There was like a time that there was like 4 of them in one League Cup, and we all played it.
I think Cyrus was a Palkia enjoyer for a while.
And Callie, huge. Also, it says in her Twitter bio, like Palkia enjoyer.
Palkia enjoyer, yeah.
So... But when we look at their meta on day 1, so Charizard, Tina, Moon, Guardy, Miraidon, that's pretty standard for what we've seen through this format. And in that order, in North America and in Europe, I think it would have been Moon, Guardy, Tina.
Yeah, I think Zard would just kind of scale down a couple places.
I mean, Zard costs in Canada, if you wanted to build a Charizard EX deck with Pidgeot or even like getting the Bibarel staples, you could build a whole deck for under 100 Canadian dollars.
Yeah, the Charizards have dropped like significantly.
Which is really good that you can build one of the best competitive decks, and I think that's a really good part for the game right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with Charizard being primed to be really good in temporal forces as well. But their day 2, it's actually really, really interesting. 9 Moon decks, 16%. 9 Guardy decks, 16%. 9 Tina decks, 16%, and then 7 Charizards at 14%, which I think is a really, really good outlook of a meta. I think that's kind of the meta that we would be looking going into Vancouver. The only thing I would add there is I think our Guardy will go up because North Americans like to play decks that make them think they're very smart and very good.
They do, actually. Yeah. You're right. It's a phenomenon.
And Guardy is, well, I mean, Europe also has like people like just playing Guardy all season. Also, the last time you could play Shining Arcana.
Yeah. Also, I look at those stats and, Moon, Tina, Zard. I mean, that sounds amazing for Gardevoir. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of Guardy and also maybe a bit more Miraidon succeeding.
Yeah, I think that will be the big difference and that will be the added. So Miraidon was actually at 7% in Goiania. But I think there is a huge possibility of Miraidon coming up and being played here. That reason being is that because we have so many Guardy enjoyers, that Miraidon is the deck that really preys on Guardy. And it can also, if it gets an Iron Hands very early on a Comfy and it can't be returned by a Giratina V-Star, then the deck's like in a really good spot. But
yeah.
The deck's really clunky.
I know. I don't like it. I played a League Cup a couple weekends ago, and I played Guardy. And round 1 and round 2, I played against Miraidon. And I actually won because they whiffed like all their generators. I can't remember the exact details, but like 1 energy from 3 generators or something like that. And then they whiff hands, and they have no attackers, and their deck falls apart. So, sometimes the deck just doesn't fire. It definitely feels like a worse version of Roaring Moon. But then you have that hands option, which really helps you against Guardy. So I definitely see the power there.
Which is really interesting because the new Future Box hands deck with Iron Crown, that deck sets up pretty easily.
Much better, right? Yeah. You have the Energy Excel. It's more consistently doing that.
And then you have the Volcanion. Well, not the... It's...
Oh, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, the Miraidon lets you search for 2. I'm trying to think of a Pokemon that's had that attack before that you search for 2 energy and put it. But that with the Iron Crowns can hit for pretty big damage. So I think that's something that Miraidon itself is missing. The other thing is, I played a cup in Buffalo this weekend, which is always great to leave the GTA. Not because I'm not dodging. I mean, I've won cups in the GTA. The GTA is very tough, and I think we're really competitive. But it's nice. I mean, part of the reason with that is our cups all sell out. So thank God I have a passport and can cross the border into Buffalo, and they have a great, great scene of players. And one of the players that I know is really good is Natalie Miller.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, Miller. Yeah.
Yeah, Miller, not Millar.
Yeah, different.
Yep. And I finally got paired and got the chance to play against her. And I sat down, I'm so excited to play you. I know you're so good. And she's like, I forgot my deck at home. This is the first time I played it. This is my friend's deck. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's good.
Okay. And then she flipped over an Iron Hands. And I was like, you know what? Like, I just played against a Paradox Lost Box. So I don't think you're going to be playing like Miraidon. Like I think you're, and then she had to get like Squawkabilly and a Raikou, and like she sequenced really well. But
and
then
you were playing Charizard.
I was playing Charizard.
A good matchup.
So
right?
I just like turn 2, Rare Candy, just attack into the Iron Hands, like not even go after anything else. And then she drew for turn, attached a Lightning Energy, and then went restart for 2. Drew 2 off Mew-EX, and then showed me a hand of 3 Lightning Energy and said, congratulations on your win. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
The Miraidon special.
Yeah. So I think that deck specifically, I think people will play it. I mean, we really like that deck here too.
Miraidon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, people will play it. That story reminds me. I once saw Christian Sneaker Talk TCG, for any of you who watch his videos. Great guy.
Rebuilt his Miraidon deck. Thank God that he got his deck back.
Yes. And I saw him playing at a League Cup with Miraidon, and I watched him generator, hit no energies, and then he either used Research or Squawkabilly and drew literally all Lightning Energies and then also proceeded to top deck a lightning energy on his next turn. And I thought that was really funny and kind of just like peak Miraidon story, because you got 14 lightning energy in your deck. It's going to happen.
I actually want to talk about this because I think it's really interesting. Christian plays like Super Max Bling.
Yeah.
And I remember for a while I was trying to bling out, and I've gone through different points in my Pokemon journey where I have bling and I don't have bling, or I play like low rarity, or I play like everything foil, or I try to max bling my deck. But I went through this little period where I would just draw all my foil energies together, and I'm like, this is not good. Like this is because I'm playing everything foil. And I want to know, I know you play low rarity, except your I actually like having my evolution Pokemon be like full art, so it's easier for me to prize check them. And I like my one of Pokemon, like a Rotom EX or a Lumineon EX to be full art, so I can check through my prize checking. But I recently went back down to low rarity with some high rarity in it, and I feel like I've been doing better than a full rarity deck.
Oh, okay.
Might be just superstition, might just be like, what are your I even like, I had that really one bad tournament. I called Zach and I was like, hey Zach, like I know that you've always been like newest version of the cards, cheapest version of the cards, but the opposite is Michelle is like max rarity bling. And I was like, how do you feel on this situation? And it's nice though, like when you look through your deck, and I did, I won with the Roaring Moon Tina deck. That deck was like max rarity, but it's what do you think on this scenario, pro player?
I think it's mostly superstition, but that can actually help you win. Like if you love your bling cards and it makes you feel like, if you are convinced that you play better with your max bling deck, you probably actually do play better with your max bling deck. I like to play min rarity because I destroy my cards. They got like a little like wavy pattern going on from like the way I bridge shuffle them. So I like playing the cheap ones. I do like playing like a couple cool cards. Like I got my Alt Art Gardevoirs because I love the look of that card specifically. And I also notice another thing is when you put more and more foil cards in your deck, they're actually kind of stiffer. So I find it hard to shuffle if I play like a max bling deck. Do you notice that? Do you like do you like riffle?
I mean, I destroy my cards as well because I believe, and to the players out there who are like, hey, don't riffle your deck, you have like bling cards, all this stuff. If you're winning enough Pokemon, then the cards that you're playing with, in essence, don't matter.
Yeah. Because
they're just tools to a mean, and whatever you're winning, you can just like buy the collector cards that you want. And those cards, like when you I've seen the riffle marks on your Zoroarks in the past, right? Oh my gosh.
You should see my Curlias now. They're bad. It's bad. Same thing.
So I think that's a really important part of it all. But I flip-flop between the two, but I feel like I'm in a good balance. And I like, there are certain arts of cards that I really like. So like the Dark Explorers, the
Ultra Balls. Yeah, I have those.
That's my favorite Ultra Ball art. I won't want to get like gold Ultra Balls, and there's a certain rare candy arts that I like, and super, I wish I kept some of the older super rods instead of like ditching those.
Yeah, I have those. I love those ones. I might have some extras actually. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can hook you up.
And then like Pal Pat. So I think that's really, really good part of Pokemon. And what I like is, you like seeing the cards in your deck, like, because I'm old.
You're not old, but okay.
I use the base set energies, right?
Yeah.
So actually, had someone, they're like, "Oh, those are those base sets or are they evolution?" And I'm like, they're base set. They're base set. Yeah, they're base set. I'm old. Goiania still, and talk about like favorite cards, favorite things. There was only one Mew deck.
I know. And all of day 2, right?
And all of day 2, there was only one Mew VMAX deck.
They're saving it for Vancouver, the last ride. It's happening.
They're flying. From Sao Paulo and Brazil.
The Mew enjoyers out there are dedicated. I know they'll be there.
And I'm also like very interested because this regional was won by a Chilean person on Snorlax.
Yeah.
So that kind of sketches me out. If we go to Chile
regionals, we got to beat Control.
And Mill and Control are going to be 2 of the top decks in the format. Are we ready for that? Because I'm not.
Yeah, no, we got to be prepared for that. And another thing with Mew is it's interesting to see how it can go from like winning the European regional and then not even making an appearance at this regional. And then I've seen it win online tournaments, like it won the last Game Grid Live tournament. Actually beating Roaring Moon in the finals, which was pretty funny. And it was Gabe Smart in the finals of his second one of those Game Grid tournaments in a row. So good job, Gabe. But I'll be really interested to see. I could see Mew taking Vancouver by storm. I could also see Mew just completely flopping the event. The other interesting thing to think about with Mew is like this fusion versus DTE thing. And last week I was really on like the fusion train. But after playing a couple more games with that fusion build, I like don't understand how it actually functions. I've like been
like Celigore is an issue.
The Excelgor out. Yeah. If you're playing the Excelgor, I mean, how are you ever setting that up? But yeah, like with the fusion build, I just draw like hands with tons of energies. So I don't know. If you think the fusion build is not a bag of bricks, then that's probably the way to go. But I think it's a bag of bricks. So I like the DT build better. So if you see me playing Mew in Vancouver, I probably just got DTs in my deck.
I think the big difference too is with Roaring Moon being such a big part of their meta, that probably would have scared some people to play Mew VMAX, right? But then it's on the flip end, Gabriel Smart was playing Roaring Moon in the Game Grid tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the final.
And he lost
to
Mew, right?
Yeah. So the deck itself is still very good. It's very tight. I mean, Judge Path, right? Against Charizard, you usually want to go first against the evolution decks, but you actually still want to go second versus Mew because you don't want to get Judge Path on your first turn.
Yes.
You want to be able to set up.
Yep.
So the difference is, while Roaring Moon has maintained a very high percentage at regionals, as we saw in Utrecht, it was the number one played deck. In Goiania, it was one of the most played decks. I haven't been seeing Mew out in cups, Roaring Moon in cups a lot.
No, I mean, that might also be like a local shift for us. I mean, lots of our local players, not just me, love Guardy, right? So it's hard to be playing Roaring Moon all the time. And then now we've seen like this shift in our local meta. It's cool to watch like the local meta evolve as like the broader meta evolves as well. But now we see like a bunch of Miraidon at our locals. So maybe it's time for Roaring Moon to make that comeback. I mean, you've been beating up those Miraidon decks with Charizard.
Moon did win the cup yesterday, one of the Toronto Cups yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But that top 8 had Lost Pile, Lucas Zing, Lost Pile, Robert Simpson, a Goldango deck, one Charizard deck, one Moon, Alan Zhu on Gardevoir. He's been playing that whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I swear this person's name looks like Ting Lu.
It does.
Yeah.
It's close.
But they played Zora, so Zoroark basics, and then Julian Gorberry on Arceus Fire. So Moon actually was pretty good in that field to take that if they dodge the only Guardy player, right?
Yeah.
And with Guardy, like one of the big things is it's so hard to play, and if you miss a step and your opponent can get aggressive, that's the way to start. So I think the Charizard matchup versus Guardy feels horrendous, and I've spent the last 2 weeks crying about it. Like really, really crying about it. I was able to beat 2 Guardy in the I won a League Cup this weekend. Thank you. Shout out Buffalo. 2 League Cups, 1 in Buffalo. Jay's won 2 League Cups in Buffalo, so the next person to win a League Cup in Buffalo is just gonna be King of Buffalo.
Yeah. And probably also from Canada.
It's 3 Canadians in the top 8.
Oh well, you, Michael Battaglia,
and Kayla Lou.
Kayla Lou, nice.
And she was on Arceus VMAX, Venusaur VMAX.
Oh,
Tina. So she's like, I saw this deck and I thought it was great. I was like, I helped build that deck. And then
shout out Tabletop Village.
Show the conversation. But versus Gardevoir, the biggest thing I've learned is Charizard has a chance to win if you get a 2 prize lead early.
Yep.
Right?
Against Guardy, sir?
Against Guardy.
You need 3. You need a 3
No, but you need to, I mean, like, you take 2 prizes as quick as possible.
Yep.
And then they don't return you.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yes, that's what you need. The pivotal moment is turn 3 for Guardy, where they really need like the 6 energy reversal, or like they just need to take 2 prizes basically.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then you're in a great spot.
And the game plan for Charizard is you KO routes turn 1. Right? Your first attack, you KO routes. Yep. They Mirage Step. And then you boss a Kirlia. Mm-hmm. And you KO the Kirlia.
And if they prize one, bonus points. Like,
and then you just hope. And that was my plan. And my Gardevoir opponents were really good. Counter Catcher really good for them.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for my Charizard deck, and this is for some of the newer players out there, the players looking to get better, reach out to people that are better than you and ask questions. That's something I've been doing since I started playing Pokemon, and that's because I played other games and I learned from other games that the only way you're going to get better is to learn from people that are better than you and ask those questions. It's like you have that guy at the front of every gym in Pokemon that you talk to, and they're like, this is Misty, who specializes in water Pokemon. If you use electric Pokemon, it will shock her. Right?
Yeah. That guy's clutch.
So, and he's like, yo, champ the making. So I remember, like, rest in peace, Jimmy Bendarvis, when I started playing. Like, I reached out to him, like, how do I play Evital Garb? Right? And he was really, really helpful. Igor, Zach, like, so many of the best players were really helpful in doing that. But for Charizard, I come from a background recently that I was like, Charizard, I'm just going to play. Everyone's going to play Charizard. I'm going to play the deck that beats Charizard. This deck bricks. This deck is just so easy. Like, why would I play it? And that's a wrong mentality. That's a wrong mentality because the strength of Charizard and Pidgeot is just so strong. And you know, I've been playing Charizard EX since day one with the Lost Box. Charizard EX. So I just love Charizard. Yeah. But Pidgeot, I was like, this is easy mode. But that's like a leak because if I want to be better, I should just be playing one of the best decks, right? Instead of just trying to always find a way to beat the best decks. And those players that are really good at that are good at that, and I tried to be that. But I started talking to 4 people that had success at the last 4 regionals throughout, and that was Nofume from France, and he top 16'd Utrecht with double Charmeleon.
Yep, that seems pretty good.
And then Pedro Pertusi, who's one of the best players in Brazil. He's so good, guys. So nice. Always responds to my DMs. And they had the V-Guard energy and double counter catcher.
Oh, that's where the V-Guard energy came from. Okay.
Then there was Bali, who is Ollie with a B from Europe, and he top 8. He actually finished top 2 in Swiss at Utrecht with Charizard Bibarel because I was really trying to make that work. And then João Medeiros from Brazil again, who is also a really, really strong player, has come up with some of the best decks in the past, like Tina Chomp. So being able to talk to them about their experiences with Charizard and asking them how to approach matchups, asking them how to approach mirrors. There's also the winner of the Filipino regional. I also reached out to him, and I'm just so lucky to have these people message me back and give me their thoughts. And I think you should try, because as a player, to reach out to those better players to kind of learn from decks. I know you learn best from watching games, right? Instead of always playing them. Like, you'd rather watch 2 people play and see both sides of the game at the same time. For me, I always learn better if someone tells me, approach the matchup this way, these are your keys to the matchup, and then I can figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
So
I think also the fact that all these top players are willing to respond to you just speaks to how amazing our community is and how friendly the people are in it. And it makes me really happy to hear that. I assume most of those players, you'd never spoken to before, or did you have pre-existing?
No, João, I've had pre-existing. Pedro, I've never met in person, but I've talked to him in the past before because he came up with the Arceus Lucario V, he won a regional with Arceus Lucario.
Pedro?
Yeah.
Arceus Lucario, Lucario V-Star? Or?
Yeah, V-Star.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And then...
Wait, didn't he also win with Charizard?
I don't know if he
Guardy,
won.
Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, he had Guardy. With Mewtwo V Union.
Right. Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah.
So, and it's very international. It's very... Because then you see the mindsets from different people and what they're doing. And then, Nofume, he feels he doesn't need the Radiant Charizard. I'm not as good. So I really feel... that I need the Radiant Charizard.
I think it's good.
That card is just really good at swinging stuff.
It's a one prize option, right?
Having a one prizer and then just hoping that they miss is really good as well. It just sucks that you can't attack twice in a row with it in Charizard, really, because you usually only have one switch option. So I think that's really tough. So being able to ask all these great people those questions really propelled me to be able to win this League Cup this past weekend. And Rowan can tell you that I spent a lot of time just banging my head, what am I doing wrong with Charizard? What am I doing in the mirror? And you just have to play more games. And I think we've seen a lot on Twitter recently where people are really upset with, where they are in the in the year or what's going on in Pokemon. But the end of format's always tough because you've been playing the format for so long, right? What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to feel?
Yeah, it gets kind of stale. Everyone else kind of knows what's happening. Sometimes it can feel, if you're like stuck, like maybe you're not enjoying the format, you never found like your deck, it can get really frustrating. Like you're kind of just finding this Charizard deck now.
Which if I started playing it like when Azul was winning with it and putting the time in it and learning, it might have been better. But now going into EUIC and seeing all the decks and seeing the stuff in the Champions League, what I would suggest to Joe's, while the pros try to break it, I would suggest you pick a deck that's very similar to a deck that you've been playing. You've been playing Lost Box. Lost Box is in the next format.
Mm-hmm.
You've been playing Miraidon. Future Box Iron Hands. You've been playing Charizard. Let me tell you, Charizard Pidgeot. Chen Pao.
Or Charizard Bib too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Chen Pao. Chen Pao.
Yeah.
However, people are like, it's more consistent now, but like some of the starts of that deck are still horrendous.
How did it get more consistent? Buddy Puff?
Body Puffin.
It definitely can't be more. Maybe it's just more consistent relative to the other decks.
Yeah.
Like everything else is just worse. Like now everything's kind of bad.
Roaring Moon is actually I tested that deck for the first time yesterday. Yeah, the deck is fast. I was driving so hot with the deck.
What does it lose? Did it lose? No, Dark Patch is still good, right?
Dark Patch is still
Patch is still good. Okay, so you have.
I don't even think.
Oh, Moltres. You lost Moltres V. Who cares?
We have baby.
Oh, baby Moltres. You switch off that?
No, we have baby Roaring Moon.
Oh, you're talking about You're talking about the fully different.
No, I'm talking about Roaring Moon with baby Roaring Moon. That's the new Roaring Moon. So that deck is very good. H Box, I'm not sold yet.
Yeah, okay. I don't like these one prize decks.
H Box, I'm not sold on yet. You've been playing Control? Well, let me tell you.
It's still good.
It's still good. So I would really focus if you're going to Vancouver and then you're going to Europe, that you play basically the same deck and you let everyone else figure everything out and you just like test versus everything else and learn how the decks are. And I promise you, you will have a much better tournament than scratching your head. And to all the players out there, stop worrying about the 59th and the 60th card.
Yes.
That's a big thing.
That is a big thing.
That is a huge thing going to tournaments, especially going to Vancouver. I see all our locals, who are all great players in their own right, being like, what am I playing this weekend? Or should I agonize over this? And sometimes you just got to bite the bullet. And I really wanted to be Gardevoir. And I played 2 Lost Cities in my Charizard deck. And it does not help. So going into the League Cup after spending the past week trying to beat Gardevoir, I said, I'm not going to tech for Gardevoir. And I put a second counter catcher in because that's what Pedro had in his deck. And I was like, I don't know why they'd have it. And that card won me so many games.
Yeah.
And I just trust it. And the other card too that I'm really iffy on is Level Ball with only 1 Charmeleon. And I know a lot of people have picked it, but I think I actually want a Nest Ball in my deck so that I can find Rotom and Radiant Charizard easier.
Okay. I would say one big tip that I give people is when you're debating what your 60th card should be.
Energy.
Just something basic. Like if you're like, oh, like this cool tech card or like another research, like play the research, play the Nest Ball, play that Level Ball, that energy, that card that just helps you pull your strategy off. Because if you're like unsure about a wacky card, it's probably not going to do anything most of the time.
But instead of the research, play a Roxanne. Because they won't expect it. Yeah.
But that's not a supporter on turn 1, man. That doesn't help your consistency.
That's fine. I'm going to Rotom.
Okay. All right. Well, another thing that we haven't talked about yet, and I know that you and I talked about this, is that Pokemon has announced that League Cups will be ending May 31st, I believe, is the last day for Pokemon League Cup, right?
Yeah. The less I have to see Raymond Long in League Cups, the better.
Yo, he dominates those League Cups. Even I get scared when I pair Raymond. I always lose.
8 League Cup wins.
Dude, he's just sending points to the loss zone at this point.
Just going for the, I mean, good for him going for his invite, but every time
he loves to play, right?
I just want to say that this year, I think I have like a 1-6 record against you in like League Cup events, but I have a 4-0 record against Raymond Long.
Yo, what?
So I make sure that when we sit down that we're playing a very good, clean game of Pokemon. And I've been very supportive. I beat him in the Charizard mirror. That was great.
Oh, wait, no, you lost to him once. You remember the League Cup at game time? You were playing Miraidon?
Yeah, okay, 4-1.
Okay, 4-1.
That's so you don't take it. We'll take it. Yes, yeah. I had Miraidon. That sucked. I whiffed all my energies. He just shuffled my deck, and I whiffed all my electric generator. You know why I forgot about it? because I just put it in the back of my head so I didn't have to remember that one tournament I played Maridon.
Yeah. Don't do it again.
Shout out Cameron Chenoy for getting me to try that deck. Yeah, so League Cups, there's going to be a huge scramble for points. I would be lying to say I wasn't worried. I definitely got some Mark Dizon mental coaching from Rowan. I put a lot of time this season into trying to play my best, and I think I've played some of my best, and I've just missed. And you've missed some bigger ones, but you're right there. I think I feel better like looking at the numbers. So I think one of the things people were discussing on Twitter, and there was a lot of back and forth with, should they lower the invite or will they lower the invite, right? And since I started playing Pokemon, I've seen twice the Anaheim Worlds, they made it so that every points finish that you got in an event, you got plus 5 CP. And going into Japan Worlds, they lowered the invite, but that's because we didn't have League Cups. But right now, we're at a point that we kind of see where people are queued, and it's actually made me feel a lot better. So I'm just going to give you some numbers. So North America, we have 41 players queued for Worlds. Europe, we have 82 players queued for Worlds, so that's 123 players. Latin America, shout out to those Warriors, 95 qualified.
Oh, wow.
So we're 120 plus 95. Okay, so that's 215.
215, yeah.
And then we have 46 qualified from Oceania. So that's about 260 people qualified for Worlds.
Yeah.
The fact that Europe and Latin America both have double the amount of people, they do have a lower threshold with a 350. But if you haven't won 4 cups, you can win 4 cups in Latin America. And I'm not saying this to shine anything on their invite. I think Latin America's shown the best people in the world, especially players. I mean, if you look at Pedro, if you look at Vinny, right? Vinny during the COVID era, like best online player, wins like Worlds, like doing really well, and then wins a regional here.
Wait, wasn't it? No. It was his brother that won
Gabriel?
Worlds. I think Gabriel won Worlds, but still.
But Vinny won the regional.
Yes, with Tina,
in
right?
North America with Tina, right? And really put the Avery in that deck on the map. So their player, and then Pablo, he's been good forever.
Yep.
He's been playing forever. I wish he'd been playing forever. But their player base, yeah, of course they're shining. They deserve to shine. It's very hard for a lot of them to make Worlds. Going to playing in Brazil for the first time, meeting a lot of these players, amazing experience. They deserve every bit to be able to go to Worlds. Europe, such a big place. So why is it that there's such a gap of almost double for each finish when we have 2,000 person regionals?
I mean, that might be one of the reasons. And I mean, I'm listening to these numbers from you, and it makes me think, I wonder if Pokemon is also looking at these numbers. Maybe they're cutting off the League Cups early so that they can analyze these numbers and maybe debate a potential like point lowering, maybe by region, maybe for all of them. But yeah, maybe these like 2,000 player regionals in North America are what's stopping people from getting to their invite. I mean, 600 CP, you can only get 390 from locals, right? So at least 200 of your CP or 210 of your CP needs to come from these premier events with thousands of players. So it's definitely difficult to get there.
I think it's tough too when like people say, hey, it was so easy to get my invite. This is what I did. It was easy to get my invite. This is what I did. Yeah, great work. But for a lot of people too, like they're working, they're doing other stuff, like they can't. I was talking to Jay from Canada, trainer Jay, fan of the show. He got his Worlds invite, but he works construction. So when he got his back-to-backs, top 16, day 2 for the Knoxville Charlotte double, he could play a lot of Pokemon. He wasn't working, right? Especially for a lot of people that are in school, or they don't have that much time to go to regionals. Like some of the American players can't go to all the regionals, so they kind of take a break when they're in university and stuff, right? So I think that kind of caps us. I don't know where you put it so people feel that it's worth something and then people feel like they've worked for something. I think that's the toughest part in the discussion and the argument. But I think there has to kind of be a better way to support people. And I do like that Worlds really is a celebration. It's nice that there's no more day 2, because day 2 is the real Worlds.
Yeah, day 1 is almost like the qualifier day, right? I am also okay, though, with Worlds just being a harder tournament to qualify for. Yeah. I would say I don't like these numbers. It is a little upsetting to me because North America is like one of the biggest player bases.
Biggest, and then Japan, obviously Japan.
And Japan, of course, as well. But like in theory, if North America has a lot of players, there should be a lot of people qualifying. Like not only like, of course we have, I mean, nearly half of EU qualified right now, but like in theory, we should probably have more if you think on like a per person basis.
And I actually think this makes top 22 in Europe harder than top 16 in North America. And even though we have the lower numbers, the fact that more people are queued from EU means that their race,
they're pushing, right,
for those top 22 is actually harder than our top 16 because only the top 16 can really push, right? And same thing with whatever Latin America has because they had more people queued. That just came into mind.
Yeah.
This has also spawned, and you're not chasing CP, you're chasing, you want wins.
Yeah.
You want wins, baby. But Stockholm Regionals, how many North Americans were at Dortmund, if you remember? How many
It was like me and Gabe and Rule. And I think that might have been it. I'm sorry if there was more Americans there, but
that you remember, right?
That's all I can remember right now. Yeah. So like 3 of us.
There's like this Casey and JoJo song, which is like, I'll never find another lover sweeter than you. You know, like mother, sister, brother, father, like I love you, like the whole family. Everyone's brother, sister, mother, father is going to Stockholm Regionals.
Yeah, no, tons of, and maybe it's because of these, like, I don't know, Sweden's going to be...
People really want to get their invite.
Yeah.
Sweden...
It's like 100 people, you know, the North American regionals are cracking 2,000. So these regionals like Vancouver, Sweden, Chile...
It is very hard to get points at 2,000 person regionals. I know it's easy because they double the thing, but... I used to think that I had a chance of day 2 every single tournament I went to pre-pandemic. And now with the huge amount of people that we have here, I'm like, hey, we need like, I'm not, it's so hard to
It's hard. It is hard to day 2, right?
Like how many day 2s do you have this year in North America?
I don't know, actually. Like 5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah. But you're the echelon of the game, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really tough part in general for us. And I think like for me, depending on what happens, like that's why EUIC is so big. And I'm really, really hoping I'm still praying that there's a small third wave the week of for people that are already in Europe. Or if not, I'm going to take the time to support the people I'm coaching and the people I'm with, but I'm going to farm side events. I'm going to farm side events to get ready for Orlando, right? That's a positive spin that I'm trying to put if I miss EUIC. But yeah, I'm going to have to go to like Chile Regionals. Yeah. If it doesn't work out, I'm going to have to look at other places because we need to get some more regional points. And to the people in EU, like you guys are great. You're living a great life. I wish I was in EU.
Dude, they're killing it. You know, maybe North America is we're just full of bozos, you know? Maybe we just got to step up and get more CP. I don't know.
2000, but it's a huge divide when it's almost double or triple in certain parts, right?
Yeah.
So I think we'll need something there. But again, your invite doesn't define you. You should still keep playing Pokemon. Focus on your friends. Focus on the things there. Focus on the decks that you like and really focus on what's coming up. But Pokemon, like, this is something that we should look at. And, okay, this is the other thing, right? You shouldn't bank on this. But if there's a chance, there's a chance. So maybe the goal is to aim for, say, 500 CP.
And hope they lower it, right?
So, and it's a twofold process. If your life is at a point that you know you can't get to 600 and you're not, then you can work hard to try to see if you can hit 450, 500. Just to hope. You're like, hey, probably won't make it. But if it gets lowered, I have a chance, right? And they haven't released dates.
Yeah, there's no dates yet, so who knows? I don't know. There's gonna be Worlds. It's gonna be in August.
I mean, you're gonna be there.
In Hawaii.
But they don't have dates yet, so I know that's really got a lot of people online irked.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean it's March, right? Usually they're out by now, so I don't know what they're doing, but
it's only mid-March. It's not late March.
I guess
it's not late July.
Yeah.
So, and with the season starting earlier, I like that though. That we have a clear July is going to be the start of the season.
The next one, no.
Yeah, they said July.
They said July. So June is just nothing.
June is just NAIC and a break, so that you who are in school, stay in school, kids, can focus on your exams.
No, NAIC, when I was in high school, NAIC was always on my exams.
That's why I think they've done it earlier.
Oh, they moved the NAIC day. Earlier? What?
Who is this guy? NAIC is June 9th.
Is it not always like June 9th?
No, it's usually like Canada Day weekend.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's always like the last weekend of June.
Oh, okay. I guess I
Like
am
right
misremembering when high school exams were, but my exams were definitely used to be during NAIC.
He's been out of school for like 2 years. I was out of high school for 2 years. I forget high school.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
Oh my god, I miss high school. No responsibilities. Anyway, you got responsibilities. We got responsibilities. So we hope that you take what you've got from this podcast, and we'll see you in Vancouver.